Oh, hey, how are you? I didn't see you there. You're looking great. You know, it's been I used to make videos all the time, and now, you know, it's a bit of time has elapsed since my last video. So, you know, life, you know, all stuff getting in the way, making me not feel like it, tricking me into thinking it's not good to do. Anyway, I was thinking the other day about relationships and what's required to maintain good ones, and I thought that would be a cool video to make. How to maintain those sorts of things, you know? How to, you know, and what do I have to do? How do I have to view them? How do I view my friends to make them like worth having in my life? Because sometimes someone's worth having in your life, just not every day. Or they can't be trusted as a close friend, but if you want to party, no one else quite suits. Or when you need to ask technical questions, you know, they again, no one quite fits the bill, but you go and tell them jokes and they don't think you're funny, you know. So your friends don't have to be everything for you. And it reminded me of the time I moved out of home, you know, and I got my place all decked out. I got all of the stereo system and TV and computers and microwave and you name it. All that's kitchen appliances, you know, all the stuff, you know. I got all the stuff. But I didn't get food. And on my first night out, I'm like, okay, I need food. I need to get myself some food. And so I went to the shops and I bought some food and I filled up my pantry. I didn't fill up my pantry, that's a lie. I just got what I needed to make dinner that day and maybe dinner the next day. So I got some meat and some vegetables and some salt and pepper and, you know, just the basics, you know, and I cooked a meal and it was good. And I put all the stuff that, you know, all the leftovers, like the raw meat in the fridge, you know, the salt and pepper in the pantry. And the pantry was bare. And I took the bits and pieces and I just put them anywhere. I put them on the eye level shelf so that I can just reach out and grab it, right? And that was cool. And then, you know, later that day I needed to get some more stuff, so I went and bought some more food. Got some pasta and some potatoes and all this sort of stuff. And I chucked it all in there, chucked it all in the pantry. I just chucked it wherever it would fit, basically. There was no system whatsoever. It was just all chucked in there. And that system worked fine when the pantry was mostly empty. But very, very, very quickly, there were all sorts of stuff in there, you know? And it just filled up and filled up and filled up and filled up. And next thing you know, everything's everywhere. There's no, I have to like really think about where I put things. So within a week or two, I'm like, you know what, Chris, you've got to pull it all out and create some kind of rough system. You have spices and you've got sauces ready, like pasta sauces ready to go. You've got different vegetables, different canned goods, you know, all sorts of stuff like that, you know. But they're just like higgledy-piggledy wherever they fiddlety, right? So I pulled it all out, and I put all the condiments over here. I put all the salt and pepper and spices over here, and I put the canned goods in the middle, and then the potatoes on the bottom, up the back, and all that sort of stuff, you know. And so I did all this, and I had a system going. And now I could find everything that I needed. Everything that I needed was where I put it. And it was all in the logical place, you know, where I can find the bits and pieces that I need. And then a week goes by, and I don't put it exactly here, I put it here. And then another week goes by, and that bit that's meant to be over here, well, now that's on the middle of the bottom shelf for some reason, because that top shelf that it belongs on got full. So I just chucked it down there, and I'll chuck it back up there when the middle shelf has a bit of space. But of course, the middle shelf hasn't got any space because it's got stuff in it that doesn't belong in that location. And so within a month, 2 months, 3 months, it was better than it was when I first moved in, but it had almost gone back to complete chaos, no organisation, and it went down the tubes. And so I had a couple of times where I'd have to reorganise it again, and so on and so forth. And that was cool, and that worked. But I'd still have, you know, the odd time where I'd knock over a sauce bowl trying to reach for a sauce bottle, trying to reach for something in the back, you know, and it smashes everywhere. And now I have a big mess to clean up. Or another thing, this one time I had a jar of relish, and, you know, it was one from a market. I've always... Before this moment, I'd never had anything wrong with just putting it in the cupboard, you know. But this one, I think there was a fault with the glass or something, I don't know. But it went bad, and the glass exploded, and stuff just went everywhere. From some internal pressure, it fermented or something, I don't know. But, oh, gosh, was that a mess to clean up, you know. A big old mess to clean up, and I didn't appreciate that. But it was because if I put that in the fridge, we would have been okay. But I didn't put it in the fridge, put it in the cupboard, the wrong place for that product, you know. Anyway, so I went like a year doing this, and the pantry situation was always a nightmare. And then I moved house, and I had the same system, which was a nightmare. And there was stuff that was in the back that I had totally forgotten about. I forgot that it even existed, you know? Or sometimes there was something that I knew that I bought. I remember there was this barbecue sauce that tasted a little bit... It was very, very, very tangy. It wasn't like normal barbecue sauce, and it tasted nice, but it wasn't something that I just put on any meal the way you could with regular barbecue sauce or tomato sauce or whatever, you know. So, you know, that thing ended, that because I didn't eat it, it ended up at the back of the fridge, back of the cupboard, and I didn't see it, and then it disappeared completely. It vanished into the void. And I never saw it again until I pulled all the stuff out and put it back in. It just was gone from my life, essentially, because I just couldn't see it anymore. And I remember looking for it because I was having a particular meal where it would have gone beautifully with, but alas, couldn't find the bloody thing. So, that sucked. And then I it all sort of came to me, because there were some things that I didn't need to put away. I use tomato sauce every other day. I use the salt and pepper every other day. They don't need to be put away. But the pasta, the vegetables, the potato and whatever, the canned goods, I don't use that stuff very often. I don't really need those items at hand. Those things can be put away in a home somewhere. And that's where I got the idea. I can just get containers, boxes, and put the things in the boxes. So for example, all the sauces in a sauce box. I mean, to anyone else, this is such obvious stuff, you know. Put it all in a box. Put all the jams and spreads and stuff in a box. Put the herbs and spices and salt and pepper in a box. Well, I didn't put the salt and pepper, but I put all the other stuff. So I've got some very artesian, fancy salts, expensive salts that are flavored with exotic crap in the box. And so there's all this other stuff, you know, that I would just, I can just put it in a box, and I can put that in a box, and that in a box, and that in a box, and that in a box, right? And that was cool. The reason why that was so cool was because if I wanted a sauce, I could pull out the sauce box and look, I could see all the sauce. And there's no sauce getting hidden up the back, because I'm looking down on the box and I can see everything. Woo. I can see it all. Let's just adjust that ever so slightly. See all the spices, all the sauces, everything is easy to see, easy to access. I just take the box, put it on the kitchen table, get what I want, put it back. If it was something that I accessed all the time, like the tomato sauce or the salt and pepper, that stuff would end up at the front, right? Or sometimes, if it was something that I really used literally all the time, like the salt and the pepper, I would just put it on the shelf. It didn't need to be in any sort of enclosure, any sort of boundary. It didn't need any of that stuff. It just needed to exist, easy access, you know. And so that just stayed on the shelf, on the middle shelf, at eye level where I can grab it. And I didn't have any more accidents with knocking over, you know, other sauces, because I put things where they belonged, you know. I kept things where they needed to be, rather than just out everywhere. I gave things some boundaries, so that the sauce wouldn't end up in where the cake decorating products go, you know, or vice versa. The amount of flour that ended up on the cupboard shelf was ridiculous, you know. But once I put things where they belonged, everything was easy. And some things were trickier than others to pin down precisely which area do they belong, you know. I had one which was It's like a taco meat marinade. It was a very, very thick paste. And I was like, does that go with the seasonings? Or does that go with the sauces? Because it's a sauce, but also it's a seasoning used to season the meat. You don't put it on like tomato sauce. It's a seasoning to flavor the meat, so it's taco flavored, you know? But once I put it where it belonged, things were clearer. Things made more sense. You know, I'd be able to find things really easily, really quickly. If something didn't belong somewhere, I could just easily move it. And I never lost things anymore, you know, because I knew where all the sources were. I knew where they belonged and where they didn't. I knew that tomato sauce doesn't belong on the top of ice cream, so it's not going to go in that area. I'm going to have a bad time if I put the wrong thing in the wrong area. That's a fact. So I just figured that little part out, and it was awesome. So with that in mind, I hope that helps, and hope to see you in another video. Have a great day, you wonderful